Watching the urban debate in Mirror now. Nida Khan is a women's rights activist who gave hope to a lot of Muslim women by taking on practices like triple talaq, instant talaq, nikah halala, and she has now been boycotted by her community. She's had a fatwa issued against her. And the fatwa states that no medicines will be provided if she falls ill. If she dies, no one will be allowed to offer namaz at her funeral, and she will not be buried in the graveyard after her death. This is in addition to a long list of ridiculous fatwas that have been issued over the last few years. Now today the issue is a lot bigger. The issue is about the triple talaq bill, or formerly known as the Muslim Women Protection of Rights on Marriage Bill 2017. I want to remind our viewers that the monsoon session of Parliament begins tomorrow, and the triple talaq bill will be one of the most important bills placed before Parliament. After hearing a series of pleas challenging the constitutional validity of triple talaq, the Supreme Court struck it down in August last year and stated that it violates the fundamental rights of Muslim women. Then came the triple talaq bill. It was passed in Lok Sabha in December last year, but the opposition members in the Rajya Sabha wanted it referred to a select committee. They had an argument. They said, if you jail the husband who has given the triple talaq, how will the wife be given compensation? In this monsoon session, the Rajya Sabha is expected to take this up for legislation and for debate. Now, despite the Supreme Court striking down triple talaq, there have been instances of it nevertheless. A 27-year-old was divorced over the phone 25 days after she got married in Hyderabad. A woman in Lucknow was divorced over the phone by her husband because she wanted to continue studying. There was another case where a woman was divorced because she had a baby girl and not a boy. Now, this may appear like a personal matter between two adults, but it's not so, because no law or act or bill gives a married man the liberty to make that decision that will change the course of his wife's life. But the bill is important for Muslim women because any form of triple talaq, according to this bill, is a cognizable and non-bailable offence with jail of up to 3 years. The women who are otherwise disadvantaged by triple talaq will become entitled to maintenance from the husband and custody of the children under the bill. We hope, of course, that Parliament will do the right thing, and it has turned into a bit of a political circus, where on one hand, we have the Congress President Rahul Gandhi writing to the Prime Minister saying, pass the Women's Reservation Bill. The Women's Reservation Bill, remember, was brought in by the Congress but stalled by the BJP. The BJP is written back saying, we will if you support the triple talaq bill. The triple talaq bill brought in by the BJP, stalled by the Congress. These are both bills about women. But the politics is just not going to let it go through. Do you know that Arab states like Algeria, Egypt, Kuwait, Syria and UAE have laws against triple talaq? Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines have abolished it as well. So has Pakistan and Bangladesh. But in India, we haven't. So the question is simple. We all know that triple talaq is bad. We all agree that triple talaq is bad, and our Supreme Court has told us in so many words. Why can't our political parties set aside their politics at this point and actually do what is good for the citizen? Will Parliament pass the triple talaq bill in the monsoon session? Joining me on the show, Zarita applying for the Congress party, Vinod Sharma is a political analyst, Anila Singh for the BJP, Karuna Nandi is a senior lawyer, Fatima Muzaffar is a member of the AIMPLP and the convener of the Federation of Tamil Nadu Muslim Women Board. And we have Samshi Ilasi, is a social activist who joins us right now. I welcome all of you to this show. I'm going to start with Mr. Vinod Sharma. Mr. Sharma, thank you for joining us. Unfortunately, this is about rights of women, but it has become a political thing. So between the Women's Reservation Bill and the triple talaq bill, we're not getting to the point. Do you believe, Mr. Sharma, that the triple talaq bill should be passed through Rajya Sabha in this session?
First of all, let me tell you that triple talaq, as per the case law decided by the Supreme Court, even if there is a talaq The woman continues to be married to the man. She's not a divorcee, as per in the eyes of the law. Now, that apart, I think that the Parliament has already passed it in the Lok Sabha. In the Rajya Sabha, the debate is as follows: that the penal provisions that have been adduced in the bill are being objected to by certain political parties, including those that are proximate allies of the NDA, including the Biju Janata Dal. They are saying that if you are going to send the man to jail, then who is going to provide maintenance to the divorced woman? Then a third party, for instance, you see two people, one person, a husband delivering a triple talaq to a woman, and if you are a witness to it or if you are privy to it, you can go and register a case with the police. Now, this provision is open to a lot of misuse, and the authority of registering a case to police officers without assigning the hierarchy is another serious thing to which many members objected during the debate in the Lok Sabha itself. I remember Tathagat Satpathy making this point very candidly, and he is from the Biju Janata Dal. The point is that this is a bad practice and it must go. The debate is over the manner it should be going, in which it should be scrapped. And that is where I think that the opposition and the ruling party are not able to cover the distance, the hiatus which is there in their perception of what should be the law against triple talaq as passed by Parliament. I don't think that there is much of difference. It is just that there is an ego hassle happening between the two sides. They can sit down and they must sit down and come to a meeting ground, because this is about women's rights.
Yes.
This is about the right of Muslim women, and who have been at the receiving end of the oppression unleashed on them by the conservative sections of the community. Anywhere, whichever religion, those people who are advocating these kind of practices, regardless of their historicity, their background, in modern India, there is no place for such practices.
Right.
I agree with that. But then there is a way to tackle this challenge. We must apply our minds to tackle this challenge with a degree of wisdom rather than with a degree of political slugfest, you know.
Absolutely. Fatima Muzaffar joins us right now. Fatima ji, what do you believe? Do you believe that at this point it's time for us to abolish triple talaq and pass the bill?
I mean, it's so funny when it's a very wrong time to be talking about triple talaq when India has been rated as the #1 country, being the most dangerous for women to live in. I'm ashamed to tell this because I was always so proud of my country. I think we need to be talking about women issues pertaining to their security, to their safety, bringing them out from poverty, from unemployment, equal rights. Leaving all that aside, we're talking about an issue which is, I don't even call it trivial, which is a non-issue at all. Of course, it is something to be addressed, but not by a government or not by the parliament. It needs to be addressed by the community and the community leaders and the religious scholars within the community. I think this reform should come from within, I believe. No bill can bring about a change. What about all the past bills which was enacted in the parliament? Has it stopped the domestic violence? Has it stopped the women harassment? I really don't know what to really talk about the triple talaq, which the parliament is wasting the time on, and people are breaking their head upon, really.
Well, let me, in rebuttal, Fatima ji, just point out to you, yes, I agree with you, we need to spend more time talking about women's issues. Yes, I agree with you that we have to pay closer attention to all of the needs of Indian women. But I disagree with you on the fact that you believe that this is trivial. If you believe that the leaders of the community should be allowed to solve the problem, then shouldn't it have been solved by now? Why is it still around?
I think, now with due respect, I really believe it has been blown out of proportion, a mountain out of a molehill. I'm sure you are well aware about the Sachar committee report and the recommendations tabled in the parliament, Ranganath Mishra commission's recommendations given to the parliament. The most backward community are the Muslims, and amongst the Muslims, the most backward are the Muslim women who don't have education, who don't have economical empowerment, who are marginalized. Even the recent articles which you have read in the papers and media very clearly says that the Muslim women issues are not triple talaq, halala and polygamy, please. There are much larger issues to be spoken about. And I think that has been absolutely sidelined and not taken up at all. Please take up those issues where we are not having safety, security to live in this country.
I understand. That's fair enough.
You are showing
but now that we've gotten this far, what is your objection to it just passing in Parliament? Do you have a specific objection to the bill?
I mean, the objection for Ragini, the very first thing is the bill is not needed at all. If at all this government, the so-called government, is worried about the Muslim women, please pass the bill in the parliament where you will give reservation for women, and under the reservation for women, give reservation for Muslim women. You are really a bhai of the Muslim women, right? You call yourself as, you are really concerned about the Muslim women. How many Muslim women are there in the parliament? Let me question these people, the brothers of the Muslim women. How many Muslim women MPs do you have in your party? How many Muslim women MLAs do you have in your party? How many Muslim women ministers are there in your cabinet? Please talk about those things. You really want to empower the Muslim women? Let's talk about that. Then talking about a bill which is totally unasked for. It was not asked by the community. Even the 300 plus women who went to the court, or the cases which have been related by the Honorable Minister for Law and Justice in the Parliament, none of the ladies asked for the women, for their husbands to be put in jail. And that too a bill which will say as cognizable, non-bailable. Which of the women asked for the husband to be put in jail if he's going to utter triple talaq? And you're talking only about the wife who's affected. If for 3 years, because the bill says cognizable, non-bailable imprisonment for 3 years. Fine, the husband and wife are having a problem. What about the children? Where will the children go and see their father? So you mean to say for 3 years the children have to go to the jails, the prisons to go and see their father, to go and meet him? I think the previous speaker who spoke before me very beautifully put it. I think it needs to be addressed. There needs to be mediation centers. That's why we spoke about Darul Khadas, or the House of the Qazis, which is going to be addressing the issue as a mediation or a counseling center. I think that will give better result. And you know how the courts are now burdened. There are no judges in many courts. First and foremost, that needs to be filled up. Okay, fine. So the courts are going to be burdened. And you mean to say you will put more burden on the court? And what about those villages where there are no courts at all?
All right.
Where will the Muslim women go?
Fair enough.
You say that everywhere there is places where the women have to go and stand with the lawyers.
Right, fair enough. So, Anila Singh, I'm going to break this up so we can address what Fatima ji has put forward piece by piece. Anila Singh, first of all, the Women's Reservation Bill, what sort of representation does the ruling party BJP have in Parliament for Muslim women that you say you're fighting for? It's a fair question.
Faye, when we talk about a reservation, then I think so we should talk about party line, and we should talk about caste and religion line, because we all are on same platform. But women reservation is definitely a different call altogether. But when we talk about triple talaq, instant triple talaq, then it is totally a different thing. I was listening to Fatima ji, and she had so many reservations.
No, one second. Anila Singh, how many Muslim women does the BJP have in Parliament? Or in your party in general?
Listen, forget. You simply forget it. How many Bharatiya Janata Party Muslim MPs or MLAs are there in Parliament or in Assembly? You want to discuss me on this topic, or you want to discuss with me on women reservation or ban on instant triple talaq? So please do not try to mix up everything and try to confuse me. What I have come to know, that we are going to discuss about instant triple talaq, ban on instant triple talaq, and on women reservation bill. So let it be the Bharatiya Janata Party's internal policy to whom they have to give the ticket and whom they do not have to give the ticket. We do not want any instructions from outside. But at the same time, I just want to ask Fatma ji, what is the problem if instant triple talaq is banned, if it becomes punishable? Like India stands second largest in the Muslim population if we compare in the world, and first is Indonesia, and in Indonesia as well. In Indonesia as well, you cannot give instant triple talaq. If you want talaq, then you need to have permission from the court. So I really fail to understand. And you were talking about the maintenance. More than 79% of Muslim women, they do not get any maintenance. More than 50% of women, they do not get any meher also. So what you are talking about? I agree with you that yes, if we talk about Muslim women, 50% of Muslim women are illiterate. We need to make them literate. Effort should be on that side, but at the same time, just to give them social security, I think ban on instant triple talaq is must.
Okay, all right. Let me bring in the other members of the panel, but I do believe what Fatima talked about was her objection was with the jail term. And what happens if the husband goes to jail? Karuna Nandi, senior lawyer with the Supreme Court. Karuna Nandi is against the bill as well. Why Karuna Nandi?
If this bill was drafted by a first-year law student, they would have been failed. Every single provision of this short bill is a problem. For example, first they say that is the Protection of Rights on Marriage Act, complete nonsense of course, but that's just semantics. Now look at the substantive section 3, which is where it begins, right? Any pronouncement of talaq by a person upon his wife by words either spoken or written in electronic form or any other shall be void or illegal. There is a complete misconception on the part of the public that put out, encouraged by canards of the BJP, that this is not already illegal. The Supreme Court, because of Muslim women, not because of the BJP, but because of various Muslim women like the Bebak Collective who went to the court and asked for their right, struck this down as unconstitutional. And so triple talaq no longer exists as something that is valid. Which means that section 4 is, what does that mean? It means that 3 invalid words that could be kabaddi, 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 but happen to be talaq, 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 and have no connection with anything because they have no operation of law is sort of not relevant in this case. So they could be any 3 words, The BJP government has criminalized or seeks to criminalize. The fact that they then try to use this cognizable, I think it's non-bailable offense, as a bargaining chip for women's rights in the Women's Reservation Bill is something that I think the entire country should take deep objection to. Because women's rights are not bargaining chips for your agenda against Muslim men. When it comes to Hindu women's rights, when it comes to things like marital rape, that, I'm leading the arguments in court and it is for the court to decide. But at the moment, what we see from the union government is that they want to support, they have the institution of marriage by allowing marital rape to be not criminal.
Okay.
In adultery, they seek that adultery continue to be criminalized and women continue to be treated as property. When it comes to Hindu women's rights, the record sadly is really quite abysmal. So basically it's, meri patriarchy, patriarchy. So my patriarchy is patriarchy. Your patriarchy is patriarchy, but my patriarchy is tradition. My patriarchy is culture, right? And so the thing is that if they really want to, as we have heard other speakers say, if they really want to help Muslim women, why don't we see, if they really care so much about Muslim women, why don't we see Muslim women being protected from marital rape? Why don't we see, if they care about women's rights, why don't we have all women, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Sikh women protected from marital rape? Why don't we see the representation of Muslim women in their party, any Muslims in their party, you know? And so I think this is frankly just complete moonshine. It's an excuse to arrest more Muslim men, and it's, if they want to do something, they should roll up their sleeves, do something about education for Muslim women. They should do something about employment.
No,
They should do
but
something about shelters
Karuna Nandi,
where there is
I
violence.
understand everything you're saying, but don't you think that this would be, I mean, there has been a committee that is looking at the bill. Perhaps the bill needs to be modified or rewritten even, but should it be thrown out altogether?
No, nobody.
Faye, I'll send you the bill. It's literally, it's 7 provisions. It doesn't say anything except that, you know, let's get rid of triple talaq, which is already gotten rid of. And then it says arrest the Muslim man who attempts to. So basically, let me give you another example. So say I'm a Hindu, right? Take the example where I am married to anyone, Muslim, Christian, whatever, right? Say I'm married under the Special Marriage Act, and somebody says to me, I'm going to divorce you. Is he going to go to jail? If this bill were to be translated into sort of non-Urdu / Arabic words, right? That would be the meaning of it. He says, we have a fight, he says, I'm going to divorce you. Then any person passing by, not just me, any passerby, any passing Gaurakshak, right, can come and say to my husband that my husband be put in jail because he expressed the intention in a fight, say, to divorce me. Even though those words have no meaning, you know? Like the only way you can get a divorce is through this, that's period, this waiting period, etc.
All right, so the bill is badly drafted, and I'm taking the question to Zarita now. Zarita, does it make...
No, it's a ridiculous bill, there's nothing in it. These are the only two
it's a
things in it.
ridiculous bill. Zarita, you know, the Congress has also put itself in a really bad position by using women's rights, like Karuna said, as a bargaining chip, saying that pass the women's reservation bill, pass this, pass that. It's actually, you know, as an Indian woman myself, I find it very offensive that our politicians are treating our rights like brownie points that they'd like to win. Why is that?
First and foremost, our Congress President Rahul Gandhi ji has written a letter to Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji that requesting the safe passage of the women's reservation bill. However, we are not using women as a bargaining chip because we are the ones, we are basically the pioneers who are actually fighting for the 33% reservation for women at all governance level. Now, coming back to the triple talaq, it is totally outlawed, number one. Secondly, the halala thing which is due for hearing, I think sometime around 20th of July, if I'm not mistaken. And I feel that these are just means of trying to, you know, scuttle the women reservation bill, because I feel that, you know, what the BJP spokesperson said, that we are no one to tell them, you know, who should be given a ticket and not. Well, I'm very sorry, madam, but your party does not have proper representation of women. And secondly, it is a misogynistic and patriarchal political party that cannot even come forward to, you know, support their own minister who's being trolled. So let's not get into this that, you know, y'all are all for this sect of people and that sect of people. Let's not play dirty politics here. First and foremost, let's fight for women. And we do not want to become bargaining chip. No, we are not. So we want to fight for women reservation, and we are ready to support any bill, anything that is progressive, but with the necessary amendments that we have requested. That is all we want.
But Zarita, tell me what the status is right now of the select committee that's looking at the triple talaq bill. It was referred to a select committee. Has there been an update or some sort of response that's come from this committee?
As of now, we do not have any update. We just know that the amendments that we have put forward has not yet been updated. That is all we know about it. Because we had asked for 2 or 3 amendments that we wanted in order to secure the women's rights, so that we can be, you know, so that our Muslim sisters can be protected even after the triple talaq has taken place.
And ideally, Sarita, what sort of version would the Congress party prefer of this bill?
We said we are ready to support, like the law minister in one of his statements today said that requested all parties that we should support all the three bills. Now the first one, the women reservation, yes, yes and yes, we are supporting you to make it, to pass it. Secondly, when it comes to the triple talaq, yes, it is definitely subjected to a few of the amendments that we have requested. And if the amendments take place, that is for the well-being of the our Muslim sisters, we are ready to support it. And if we are coming back to the nikah halala, we definitely do not want to get into it because it's a thought process that is being supported only by some school of thought in the Islam, and we wouldn't want to get into that.
Well, that's very, I mean, the Congress party can't not have a stand about nikah halala. You have to have a stand. But Anila Singh wanted to respond to you. Anila Singh, go ahead.
Yeah, Faye. See, I was listening to Congress spokesperson, and it is really shocking the way she has talked about stopping of instant triple talaq, and the judgment has been given by the Supreme Court. Definitely, Bharatiya Janata Party was standing in very positive way to get triple talaq finished, and now we are waiting to get the bill passed in Parliament. So that we should know and we should understand this thing, that the judgment has been given by the Supreme Court, and the petitioners were 5
so we do
Muslim
not need
women.
a parliament ruling to
consider
right,
from Shah Banu to Shaira
We just
Banu.
want the
It has
necessary
been a long
amendments,
journey
madam.
for all these Muslim women to get this instant triple talaq stopped, and they have won this case. We should be happy about it. I mean, just imagine, Faye, like if husband wants her wife back, she has to sleep with somebody else, and then she can go back to her husband.
Please do
Just
not
think
misinterpret
about
the halala.
trauma
Please do
she
not
goes through.
misinterpret the halala.
It is absolutely inhuman.
It is only a concept,
But
and it
I
is
mean,
only
I'm talking on.
it is a
see,
thought process by only some
No,
school
this
of
is-
thought. Please do not
I think
misinterpret.
somebody wrong who is
It is
not
only a
connected to the religion is
as an
talking about the
innovation.
religion. Please.
As an awakened human
I think she has no right to
I
talk
can
about a religion
understand,
which she doesn't
and
belong
as
to
a
or
woman,
All right,
follow.
I can
Anila
Please.
Singh,
understand
Anila Singh,
that what
one second,
type
one
of
second.
mental
Anila Singh,
trauma,
Anila Singh.
emotional trauma
Anila
and
Singh.
physical trauma that lady has to go through.
Yes,
whom
yes.
it was-
Anila
whom it
Singh,
is asked
Anila
that
Singh,
if
will
you
the
want to go
BJP
back to your
support the
husband,
women's
you have
reservation
to
bill
sleep with
in this
some
session of
other
Parliament?
person. And listen, I'm coming back to that also, Faye. Allow me.
Fatima ji, she is
this
misinterpreting
is an
the
answer to all
halala.
those who are targeting Bharatiya Janata Party. Bharatiya Janata Party is
Yeah,
standing very strongly with
Faye,
Muslim women.
Faye,
and
let
we
me-
will keep
No,
on
no,
Faye,
one
let me
second, one
first
second,
make
one
it
second,
clear.
everybody
Come
calm
back to
down.
women
Don't speak
reservation.
over
She
each
can't
other.
go
I will
ahead
not
and
be able to
misinterpret
understand
a
you.
Sharia, a divine law. She cannot misinterpret a divine law.
I will come to you. One second. Anila Singh, can you hear
Don't
me?
let people play around with the divine law, please.
Don't talk over each other.
Because they never had any intention to get the bill through.
All right, Anila Singh, can you
No,
hear
she
me?
they
just
should
can't
not
pass
try
a
to-
comment against
so
Sharia,
they
which
should
is a
not try
divine
to
law for the
show
Muslims,
that they
and we
are-
consider it higher than our lives.
All right, are you-
She just
okay.
can't just pass a comment
Okay.
about a Quranic law. Please.
All right, Anila Singh.
This is
See,
just
I
not
am
fair.
not going to argue
You just can't
on
let
it.
her
Whatever
just
you
pass
are
over
saying.
that.
I am simply saying what
See, you
Muslim,
first and
majority of
foremost,
Muslim
how much do you know
women
about
want.
the divine law? How much Quran have you read?
I am not
How
an
much of
advocate
Muslim
in it.
issues do
And
you
yes,
know? Just
Faye,
don't
yes,
sit
Faye,
there
that
and
reminds
talk,
me.
please.
Fatima ji, just listen. Listen, it was so horrific for me in the evening. I was on
please,
Mirror Now show.
You talk
6 to
practical,
7
you talk
Okay,
show,
hang on.
and one-
This is not making any sense. One second. Anila Singh, Anila Singh. If you can't hear me, we'll check the audio that is coming to you, but I don't believe Anila Singh can hear me right now. But the question that I asked her was, will the BJP support the women's reservation bill in Parliament? I have not got an answer for that question yet. Before I go to Mr. Ilyasi, I am going to bring this back to Vinod Sharma. Vinod Sharma, the arguments that you've heard, one second, everybody calm down. Mr. Vinod Sharma, the arguments that you've heard so far from both political parties, does it seem to you still that the rights of Indian women are being turned into political bargaining chips?
Yes, of course. I mean, this is as old as the hills, you know. I mean, the point is that you pretend to be a big sympathizer of women, but you do precious little to, to enhance empower them, ameliorate their lot, you know. I have been a witness to the Women's Reservation Bill being passed in the Rajya Sabha amid a lot of din, and this was during the UPA period. And then when it came to Lok Sabha, the NDA took the position that this bill they won't pass, the Women's Reservation Bill, unless there is absolute calm and quiet in the lower house. Now, I thought that it was a very smart ploy to scuttle the bill. There is a huge problem within political parties, BJP and Congress included, over giving these rights to women. Except for the left parties, there is no consensus within political parties on women's reservation bill. This is one. The other point is, and I'm saying this with full responsibility, and I'm not trying to, accuse one against the other. The other point is that the Supreme Court has struck down Talaq-e-Biddat, which is triple talaq. It has not struck down the way triple talaq should be delivered, by giving interregnums between one talaq and another and then the third one. That is still legal, and that right is there with the man to divorce his woman. And the women too have the right to divorce their husbands still. Now the question today is that within the BJP, and you should know that I've spoken to people within the BJP, that the law minister was advised that in order to get acceptance of the opposition parties in the upper house to the triple talaq bill, he should make the offence compoundable, which means bailable. And this would put the men on notice and at the same time make them devolve more responsibility on them to ensure maintenance of the divorced wife. The question is that is this law going to be a retributive ploy available to women against the husbands who divorced them?
Right, Mr. Ilyasi, I can see you shaking your head. Just one second, Mr. Sharma.
To keep the family together.
Yes, Mr. Ilyasi, would you support a triple talaq bill where the offence is bailable? Is that the middle ground?
Yeah, I support the triple talaq bill, but I think that is it incomplete, and for triple talaq bill, the government has not consulted any Muslim organization or any Muslim body. That's why the bill has so many faults in that the bill says that if any person gives the triple talaq to his wife, he will be sent to jail. So while he will be in jail, who will look after her?
But
Mr.
Ilyasi, that the woman would have been tossed out onto the street anyway.
So many issues.
No, I agree. In India, we have lots of issues, and if we use that argument, then we won't solve any of our issues, because every issue will then point. That's called whataboutery. What about this? What about that? What about that? That's how we never get around to solving any of our problems. I'm saying a woman who has been given triple talaq would be out on the street anyway. Where is the hope of any sort of alimony for her?
No, I am telling that the government should come with complete law. There is so many loopholes in that law, and government is not ready to answer any question. So how can we support that bill? And one more thing, why the government is silent on Devdasi issues?
Whataboutery.
It is not inhuman.
Whataboutery.
And one more issue, the marriages with rats and dogs. Whether it is permissible for any religion.
No, hang on. So what is your point? Your point is, for as long as we have issues in the country, we should never start. We should never solve anything, because there'll always be another issue. There's always be a bigger issue. There'll always be something else you think is more important. So we can keep going around in circles like this, but we'll never get any work done.
I welcome.
So what are you saying? If the offence was bailable, would you be on board?
But it should be. Pardon?
If the offence was bailable, would you be on board?
Yeah. If it is available, definitely I will support that.
All right, same question to Fatima Muzaffar. Is that your problem as well, or do you have a different issue? Can you put your finger on it? I'll come back to you,
Most
Karuna.
people haven't read or understood
Faye.
the bill.
Yes. Fatima ji, please go ahead.
Please, I have read the bill.
Okay.
Yeah, I have read the bill. I have read the judgment of the Supreme Court. And please let me clarify this. Let them not get away with the lie that it was a Supreme Court judgment. That's why we brought about the bill. Please let me clarify first. Supreme Court never asked the government to enact a bill. It was a minority opinion out of the 5 judges bench. 2 of the judges, they just said maybe it may be called for, if it is necessary, a legislation may be enacted. Otherwise, it was not a Supreme Court order to the government to immediately enact a bill. Let that be very clear. And none of the stakeholders or the so-called 300 women who went to the government with all the complaints have been consulted, or the other organizations which implemented themselves in this case, calling themselves as the leaders of the Muslim women, even they were not consulted. It's really so funny. And then the government has a committee which enacts this bill. If at all, really, not a single Muslim was present in the committee which has enacted this bill, and neither the apex body of the Muslim community, the All India Muslim Personal Law Board, was consulted even once about it. So from where did this bill, right from there, just land up in the parliament? The same day, usually it's a practice, before you introduce a bill, you float it in the parliament, you keep it for a discussion, it comes in for a debate, and it takes days and months and years sometime for a bill to be passed from Lok Sabha to Rajya Sabha. The single day it is introduced, and the same day it is just bulldozed. 17 amendments were recommended, and everything is just bulldozed and, just pushed aside. And single-handedly, you're just pushing this bill on the community, where the community never asked for such a bill.
Okay.
Not the Supreme
All
Court
right.
had
Anila
put an
Singh.
order or a judgment for them to bring a bill.
Actually,
Yeah,
one
please.
second. Let me
Let
just
that be
go
clear
across to
first.
Karuna Nandi.
And
Karuna?
I just want to say one thing.
Yes.
One thing, Faye, let me just complete this, please. After this bill was introduced in the parliament from the month of February to the month of April, the All India Muslim Personal Law Board, under the guidance of the Muslim Personal Law Board, women from different states of India, 156 peace protest rallies were held in India. From Jaipur to Mumbai, from the city I stand and talk to you in Chennai, nearly 1 crore Muslim women have marched on the roads of India holding placards and telling them, take back Triple Talaq Bill. Do not interfere in our constitutional right. Personal law is our constitutional right. You just can't talk about sitting on a TV studio about a talaq, about Quran, which is a divine law. Sharia is a divine law for the Muslims. Please just don't talk, give statements that it's not this, it's not that. How much of the Quran have you read? There is a single chapter in the Quran specially dedicated in the name of At-Talaq, Surah Talaq, which very beautifully codifies how a talaq needs to be given. What is a situation when the talaq has to be given, and when does it arise?
No, but
there's a mediation.
So one second. Karuna Nandi, I'm running out of time, so I want to just... Sorry, what, Anila Singh?
I have a point to make. I just want to ask Fatma ji, this ban is on instant triple talaq. I don't know where she is taking this debate. She is getting so confused. She is arguing just for the heck and sake to argue.
You are only confused, ma'am. Please, only
Like,
you are only
this is
confused.
what I'm telling
making it
you.
very
Who
clear.
is interfering?
Are you not clear
Who
about
is
how the bill was
interfering
introduced
in
in the parliament? Are you
It is
not
wrong.
clear with the Supreme Court judgment?
But
Please
you
take the
want
judgment
to
and read it for yourself.
project Bharatiya Janata Party in a bad light. That is why you are arguing these all things.
I think,
Sorry,
Madam
I don't
Adila,
More
want
than
to
80%
project
of
your
women
bad
surveyed.
line.
They
I'm
said that we
projecting
want
your
to get rid of
concentrated
discussing
bad
the
line.
women reservation
It
bill.
is
All
not
right, all right, all right. I can't understand you. One
Another-
second, I can't
another-
understand
other
you, and
bills.
I'm going to go across to Karuna Nandi. Karuna,
nothing to
Karuna,
project here, ma'am.
here's the
So
question.
you're going
One
to
second, one second.
where the
Karuna,
women of India are standing.
And
Forget
you
about
are
I can't hear you.
I can't hear you either, unfortunately. All right, let me just fix that problem. All right, Karuna Nandi, here's my question. The Supreme Court has already told us that the act of triple or instant talaq is unconstitutional, takes away the rights of Muslim women in India. Now, how would that be enforced if there wasn't some sort of punishment? Because we understand that even after the Supreme Court having declared that it's unconstitutional, they've still had instances in our country. I'm not saying it's rampant. I read it out at the beginning. There's evidence of this taking place in the country. How do we stop it if not for some sort of punishment or some sort of consequence? So what is the solution then?
You know, the Supreme Court judgment is a bit better than that, because what it says is that if you try and give your wife instant talaq and you say talaq, 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 it means nothing. So there is no talaq, right? What you do as a consequence of that, for example, if you throw your wife out onto the street, for example, right? Then there's a remedy under the Domestic Violence Act. Let us be very clear that the Domestic Violence Act applies to all communities, where the wife can say, nothing doing, go to a protection officer, or just go to the local magistrate. She doesn't even need a lawyer. Better to have a lawyer, but she doesn't have to have a lawyer. And say that, look, I have a right to money, I have a right to residence, and I have a right to be protected from violence, and I want custody of the children, right? And so there is no divorce then. It means nothing. One thing I would like to say, though, one place I diverged from Fatima ji, although all her other points are very well taken, and at least we have Muslim women speaking here, because they certainly aren't speaking when the BJP forms a law, right, about them, is that constitutional rights, I feel, should be a flaw. Beyond that, any community, whether it's Muslims, whether it's Hindus, you know, in personal law, as we move towards a uniform civil code, not a BJP uniform civil code, but a uniform civil code that everyone else moves towards and a consensus can be developed, the flaw should be constitutional rights. And beyond that, I mean, the thing is, I understand the difficulty of where it is believed that it is stemming from religion and it evokes strong feelings. The third thing I will say is that I am a little surprised about the Congress's stance on nikah halala, and I'm wondering why they sort of want to stay out of that debate. I think partly it's because with the Muslim community feeling very besieged, maybe they feel that to even say that fundamental rights should be a flaw when you speak of personal law is something that they cannot say. But it would be nice if the All India Muslim Personal Law Board, firstly, included at least half women, which it doesn't. It's a very male-dominated place. They're making a beginning to make a change of that. But other organizations like the Bebak Collective, like the Bharatiya Muslim Mahila Andolan, etc., there are feminist interpretations of the Quran, and some of these organizations are quite clear that constitutional rights are non-negotiable. It doesn't matter what community you're in.
That's very well said. Constitutional rights are non-negotiable. Just one second.
Apply this to Hindu women as well.
Just 1 second. We have Shadab.
Can I come in?
1 second. We have Shadab on the phone line from Chennai. Go ahead, please.
Good evening to all the speakers. I am speaking with full responsibility that my mother is a woman, my wife is a woman,
Most
and
mothers
I have
are.
a daughter, and I have a daughter who's also a girl. The first and the foremost thing is that we have to understand that everybody's rights must be protected, regardless of whether it is a woman or a man. Now, when we come to this,
what's your point?
The point is that you cannot force divorce on the lady, but if it is forced, then you have to protect her by some way of laws. And now that some way of law cannot be punishing the man and putting the man inside and not getting anything for the.
So what is that way of law then? What is the punishment then?
So what could be the punishment is that they have to finalize during the nikah time, that in case the man
No.
divorces her, in case
No,
the
no,
man
no, no. This
divorces
is the point. You know, this is the point.
Faye,
There have been suggestions that we should
Faye, can I
put
tell
together a
something, Faye,
fund.
please?
One second. There have been suggestions that we should put together a fund to support these women. There have been suggestions that the man should decide at the beginning that if I decide to dump you overnight, this is what I have to pay you. It is, like Karuna Nandi said, rights are not a negotiation. If the Supreme Court has already told us that this is a violation of fundamental rights, there can be no compromise with it. It has to be very, very clear that if you violate somebody's fundamental rights, there must be a punishment that comes into play. Now, it is fair to have an argument as to what that punishment is. But in the meantime, where is the conversation that's going to take this forward? Why is it that our politicians are shooting letters off at each other? Where is the conversation that was supposed to happen? I would like to see debate happen in Parliament because that's what it's supposed to be for. There are two extremely important bills that need to be considered. The Women's Reservation Bill and Triple Talaq. And it's okay if the two sides of Parliament don't see eye to eye. You were never meant to see eye to eye. You were meant to talk about it. Government and opposition are meant to talk about it. You're meant to have debate. You're meant to move things forward. The problem is with the lack of ability to have a debate. Tomorrow at the same time, we'll also discuss the Women's Reservation Bill, which should be right on top priority for both government and opposition. Because we keep talking about women's rights, but if you're not going to bring the Women's Reservation Bill forward, then it's all humbug. The Triple Talaq Bill needs to be discussed, needs to be modified, and needs to be passed through. But more importantly, the Women's Reservation Bill cannot wait another day. Thanks for watching.